Now, today in the shop, we hit a very, very cold day, exceptionally cold, and I decided today would be a good day to do the final buffing on this wheel before we mount the tire and mount it on a motorcycle. And the way it played out, it turned out to be a great decision because it never really warmed up, and it would be impossible to have painted anything on the other projects we're working on. So it was a good decision to take advantage of this day this way. And it turned out to be, because I had let the wheel dry up by the heating vent for a few extra days, it sanded out probably the easiest wheel I've ever sanded out and buffed. And buffing it out by hand, the good news is if I do the next wheel, it'll be even better than this one. Well, this morning is really an unbelievably cold day again. We had a nice day. I painted Luciano's tank. The next day we wake up and it's in the teens. It's not even supposed to go into the low 20s here before the day's over. So definitely not going to be any painting done today. But that's why I have two projects going at the same time, because I'd like to spend most of this day in the cellar. And I can bring Luciano's tank in and put it under a heating vent, get it ready for the next paintable day. The only problem is that's not going to be today.
And that's what looks like today's Real Feel 14.
So because I put this paint on very thin, and yep, it's beautiful. There's almost no orange peel. I try to share some good information about orange peel, how to avoid it and how to deal with it if you have to. Especially for people that have had that problem in the past, it can really be annoying. And I have had it in the past. That's ready to put under a heating vent, and I'm ready to go chop the ice and have coffee.
Well, we really got sucker punched here. I thought yesterday it had been above freezing. I was able to paint. I was thinking I'd be able to paint some on that tank today, get the next coat on, but in this temperature, you're just spinning your wheels.
Yeah, chopping the ice is always a great way to get in the mood to have that extra cup of coffee and get all your projects going for what I hope is going to be an indoor day. No, it's really good to be under a heating vent here. Luciano, eat your heart out. So we're here under a heating vent. That's going to sit there for a day or two, and I think that's about as good as it gets. That'll mask off real nice, and the only thing that can sabotage it now, if Luciano did not prep underneath and that primer pulls up, we're going to find out. But I think that's going to work out great. This is that being able to flip from a paintable day to a day like today where I want to be down in the cellar. It really gives me a lot of choices. But the first choice I have is to go have some coffee.
Just no substitute for a fresh cup of coffee. Oh my God, is it cold out there.
So one of the things I wanted to do, because I'd much prefer to stay in the cellar today than be out in that garage, I wanted to try buffing this paint out and see if it buffed out exactly the way it did when you did the normal paint process. Since this is an experimental batch of paint, I don't know if it's going to buff out the way I expect or any different than if we just used the traditional way. Oh, there's only one way to find out. And in the beginning I wasn't going to buff it out at all. I just was going to leave it, but I thought, well, the only way I'm going to know how this buffs out, because this is the first time I've ever used two-part base paint that I made myself underneath the clear, and I'm just curious more than anything else if this is going to be any different. All of this work has to be done by hand, but I'll pick some little selective spots and just see how this is going to play out. I have the 2000 grit paper and some soapy water. First thing is and I can do this one little spot at a time. That's the nice thing. I want to see, this is the part that used to be a casting. This is the part that was the most difficult to do, and then to get all these radiuses right. But let's see how this, if it buffs out, maybe it's going to be our lucky day. But in any case, it's not going to be a day out in that freezing garage. So my first little test, I'm just going to pick a spot that used to be a casting, and basically because of the shape of the wheel, virtually all of this has to be done by hand. Now, I know there's a lot of people that say, well, no, you don't have to do that. Sure, that's shiny enough. It's good enough. And they're probably right. But you know what? To put that extra little bit of effort in, maybe a day or two, in the middle of the winter when we're in the teens, who cares? You know, this is just, and just going to be a labor of love. And when I'm done, I think the wheel will be that much nicer. And when I go to mount the tire and everything, see, this is the kind of thing. Once the discs are on, this would be really up. Everything's in the way. When it's like this, and you don't have the discs to deal with, ooh, that flattened right out. Wow. I'm really impressed with that. Let me show that. Wow. That's hard to believe. Okay, so some information that may be of value. Here we are. This is the paint as it dried, and it's plenty shiny, and most people would be happy with that. But here's the one I just sanded. It's flat. And here's the one that's shiny. Now, I don't know if you can see because I'm under fluorescent light, so you don't really see that. But I see it. And I know if I do the whole wheel like this, what's going to happen is it's going to be a lot easier to maintain. And actually, I can feel it. I could do this in the dark. That's going to be so much nicer. So let me buff one little spot out. And then from that point on, it's whatever it is, 10 on each side, 10, 20 little segments like that. And I've got what used to be the worst, most offensive part of the wheel done in, I'm going to say a couple hours. It's not, see, the good thing is, when you do anything as if time didn't exist, you get something really nice. When you're worried about that hour, you wind up, you paint yourself into a corner, and then the job is done, and you're sorry you can't go back without taking the discs off the wheel and everything and do it. So I'm going to make the commitment now to buff out the whole wheel. I didn't make that commitment until today. That's sanded out like butter. And this is the product I always like to use to buff things out. This is, it's a German, I guess it's German. But anyway, this is really my favorite buffing compound, and it buffs out by hand beautifully. Now, as I always do on any time I try to help somebody with painting skills, let me just get a clean microfiber and some 8065. Let me find that spot that's flat sanded. Let's see how long it takes, and I'll do one in real time and just see how long it's going to take for that paint to come back up. Now this paint, truth in advertising, is three full days under a heating vent, so it's good and hard. And actually I was tempted this morning to mount the tire and go put it on a bike, but when I saw how cold it was out there, not going to enjoy that, that's for sure. And if I'm not enjoying this, what's the point? You know, this is not like finding the cure for cancer, that's for sure. Okay, so that paint is, and I'm showing this in real time now, without any camera cuts. Now I know there are people that could not see the difference, but I can. And that I can feel the difference. So let me show this now. No camera cuts. Always annoys me when they do these camera cut things and you don't know how long things took. There's the part. I'm not sure you can see the gloss on that. Now the gloss on the unbuffed part it's kind of a sandy gloss. But there's nothing, to me there's nothing on the planet that beats a hand buffed finish. That finish there, right there, when I get the whole wheel done, that will make me very happy. Now, the front wheel, you really don't see that much. But the back wheel, to have this whole area that you see every time you look at the bike, that's going to be an amazing, amazing addition to the bike. And you know what it's going to cost me? It's going to cost me 2 days where the temperature's in the teens. I don't have to lay on the ground out in the garage. So I think that's going to be well worth it. And I am absolutely shocked. This is 2000 grit paper. That finish sanded out so quickly and so easily, and you saw it in real time. Now, it may take me more than 1 day to do this, but you know what? I don't really care. When it's done, come springtime, when the birds are chirping, that wheel is going to be like a piece of jewelry, just shining in the sun. I'll be very happy with it. Now, it seems like pretty much every time I do a wheel, I get a little more comfortable, or I get a little faster, or a little better, or maybe some of everything. But it seemed like in the beginning when I was doing these wheels, it took a lot more time. I've seemed like I've gotten a little bit better, a little more efficient, and I've been able to share that on the channel.
Oh, I do this one. I've got that whole area done. Now I'll buff it by hand. And then I'll come out here and do this area around the whole rim by hand. Sand it, buff it by hand, and then flip it and do the other side. So my objective here is the first thing, because I'm working my way backwards. This is the part you're going to see the most. The spokes on both sides you'll see the most. In here, not so much. So if I get lazy or my arm gets tired by then, not a big deal, because the discs obscure most of that. But this part down here you see, and being able to maintain the bike, get rid of the brake dust in one wipe of a clean microfiber, and that makes the maintenance of the bike so much nicer and easier.
And one thing I learned from model airplane competition and from getting bikes ready for bike shows, concentrate your effort on the parts you see. Don't spend too much time doing parts that you don't really see. In this case, we're going to see that rim.
Oh, that came out great. And the next, I'm not sure you can see it even, but the next thing is this area here, and I'll go right around the whole rim. I like to do it one piece at a time because it's very rewarding to see that finish come up like that, like a mirror. And this is the thing I'm trying to show, but I know it's not working. This finish here is really smooth. This is just a tiny bit rough. But when that whole piece out here, and when this is done, I'm just going to be so happy to see. It's just going to be just a little nicer than if you didn't do it. Every little detail counts.
Now, another golden rule is every time you think nobody's going to see these little details, people see details. They see, you look at a beautiful bike, and if it's got a rusty bolt right in the middle of it somewhere, you look at it, your eye is drawn right to the thing that's wrong or rusty or scratched. Or when you have a bike that's really prepared well, all the spots you see, they're detailed out and polished.
Well, we got this polished, and this is ready for the polishing, and it's just this. Then just there's no way to put this other than it's a labor of love. And if you don't appreciate this level of paintwork, well, I guess you could just not skip this step. But this is something that really, my life of painting things, I really tried to make them as good as I possibly can, whether it was a model airplane or something I didn't painted for somebody else, or this. I want it to be the best I can possibly make it.
So sometimes I wonder how many model airplanes and how many motorcycles and how many wheels and gas tanks and things I have buffed out in my life. I don't know, but it's something to think about when you're doing a boring job like this.
Well, that's really starting to show some results there. That really is coming out nice. I'm not sure you can see it, but I can feel it and I can see it. The way the light walks across the paint, that's just really nice. Now, the last thing is the edge here. I want to make sure I don't get the paint real super thin here, but I want to just get that edge. And when that's done, I have half of it done. I'll flip it over, do the other side. And boy, that's maintaining the bike will be a piece of cake with that. That is really nice.
The 8065 is just exceptionally good at buffing out paint like this, and the only way you can sabotage it is by trying to buff it out while the paint is still soft, which we've stacked the deck in our favor by letting it dry a few extra days. I like to look at it from every angle in between little parts of the job and run up and get a coffee before I get too bored with this. It does get boring, but it's the kind of thing, once you make the commitment to do this, you really can't do half a wheel.
Now that edge really came out nice. This whole thing is coming out nicer than I really thought it would. And I'm really glad that I decided to do this, because it's going to add just that little extra little cherry on a sundae. And this bike, believe me, I will never consider selling. And it's probably the bike I ride the most by far, so I may as well just ante up to the bar, and I can do the other side of the wheel. I may as well do it off camera because it's going to be redundant. And when I'm done with the other side of the wheel, since I've got a good rhythm going here, the second side usually goes faster.
Then I'll start on the spokes one by one. Now, through the magic of video, the second side went just a little bit faster, and we're ready to do the spokes. And every time I reach a little watershed or get one part done or one area, I like to look at it from every possible angle. I'm working under fluorescent lights, so it shows every mistake in under this light. Oh, it's a good feeling to have that second side done. Wow. This is the kind of thing, there's a lot of reward right away. Oh, that really came out nice. And of course the second side, I always say it, goes a little faster. Now we have to do the spokes. And I want to do them one by one, flatten this out, and do it all by hand. I'm not going to worry about in here right now, unless I have a lot of extra time at the end of the day, because we're running short of time. But I can get these. There's going to be 20 surfaces. There's 10 spokes. There'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're pretty straightforward. And I think once that's done, I am going to celebrate with an extra cup of coffee. All right, so we have 20 surfaces to do. I may as well do one on camera. Yeah, it's not a big deal. These go pretty quick. Actually, the whole wheel went quicker than I thought it was. I was thinking to myself, this will be 2 work sessions. I think I'll pretty much have this finished today, and I will really celebrate, because this added more to it than I thought it would, but again, you never know. And these will be relatively simple to do. A couple reasons: the paint laid down beautifully with the way I put it on in thin coats, and the other thing is we've let it dry so up by that heating vent, it just cooked the paint, really made it really nice. Okay, so I wanted to let me just get some of this. Let's do this in real time, because I know people, they don't believe what you tell them unless you show them in real time, and I'm one of them. Okay, so we got to do this 20 times, so we may as well just get used to it. And that rim really came out better than I thought it would. I'm amazed. Totally amazed. Buffing out paint is one of those things that there's a reward right away. Right away you see what your labor of love has done. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God. It couldn't be any better than that. Now do that 19 more times, and I think we'll be coming up on the end of the day. Sometimes when I'm doing something redundant like this, I just try to close my eyes in the middle of doing it and dream about those days when the summer sun is shining and you pull out of the driveway and, oh, it's just a beautiful summer day, and you open the jacket a couple notches, and you know your friends are going to be out there and have their bikes all polished up, meet them up for a nice ride up along the Hudson. You got to dream. Well, the last step of today's job is going to be just to put a quick coat of wires on here. Put this asleep until tomorrow. Tomorrow is slated to be a little bit warmer than today. If it is, we'll get the tire on this and get this mounted on a bike. Maybe even get outside if we don't have any snow or ice or anything. Get a little photo shoot. This was a really, really good step. I'm glad I didn't leave this out. And I'm going to sleep better tonight knowing this is as good as I can reasonably make it. Given the fact that we're not going to live forever, that's for sure. But I do want to have this at the top level that I can possibly make it. And we want to make the back one just as good. And I will, when this is mounted on a bike and I tighten up the axle, I'll say, I'm very happy to be at the halfway point. That is going to really be, I'll be very happy. Be a great step. And hopefully we can get that done tomorrow. But tonight we got to run over to the kids. We got to see Buddy. We're having dinner over there. And within a week or so, they're going to have no kitchen. So then they're going to be moving in here. Maybe there'll be some gaps in the video. I don't know. Playing it all by ear. But I couldn't be happier the way this worked out. This was a really good, productive shop session, and I really look forward to tomorrow. But right now, Karen's getting ready, and we're heading out to see Buddy, the kids, and probably the last time we'll ever be in the old kitchen. Oh, there he is! Oh, my God! He needs more energy. High energy dog, high energy dog, high energy dog. Dog on drugs, dog on drugs, dog on drugs. This is a cake you made?
Yeah.
You and Mommy made it?
Yeah.
Do I get to have a piece of this tonight?
Yes.
I guess I do.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know.
How long did it take to make it?
About like 2 hours.
Whoa! Buddy, right, relax. You're on cake.
It took 2 hours to make.
God, slow down. Are you winning or am I winning?
I'm winning. I'm gonna break that
You're
crystal.
winning.
I'm breaking that crystal. I'm not even playing.
How come you don't let me win?
Because you're not playing.
Buddy, do you want to be on a windy video? You got to catch this in midair.
You did it?
Yeah, he did.
You can get a windy video. Then.
He's going to be on a windy video. Can you imagine? A famous dog. No barking. That's no barking. No barking. So what are you doing? Online gambling again?
No.
FanDuel? This is how you make a living when you're 10.5 years old?
No.
Who's the king of this house, Miles?
He is.
He is.
He bites everything.
Ah! Ah!
Actually, no, Daddy is.
Oh my God!
Fire.
So it was a really wonderful night. We have the wheels, the front wheel buffed. And by the way, a good video for people that want to see more on buffing wheels. The FZR restoration, when we buffed out those wheels with the stripe and everything, that was pretty intense. Pretty interesting. And those wheels, of course, they've held up like brand new wheels. Anyway, we're kind of getting ready to start to dismantle the kids' kitchen. And I don't know where the video sequencing is going to go now, but we just have to take every day by the way it comes our way. And I try to post up a video almost every day. I hope you enjoyed them. I try not to leave out any details or give any information that's not going to be helpful. And I hope you enjoy it. And thanks so much for watching.